What is good, YouTube and all you Dolphins fans out there? So, over the last 24 hours or so, NFL Network's Michael Giardi has reported that the Dolphins have received calls inquiring about the availability of quarterback Josh Rosen. I'm sure the Dolphins have been receiving calls on Josh Rosen for many months now, probably most of the offseason or possibly even during last season, but this is the first official report we've heard that the Dolphins have been receiving calls on Rosen. According to the Miami Herald, the Dolphins aren't trying to shop Rosen at the moment, and there's just many reasons why it doesn't make sense for the team to trade Rosen at the moment. Number one, he's cheap. He's owed only $2.1 million in 2020 and $2.9 million in 2021. Number two, the team believes that he may be able to improve under a new offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey, where the belief is he might be bringing in a more simple offense for young quarterbacks to learn. And number three, he could be a great backup for Tagovailoa in 2021 if Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't re-signed or if he decides to retire after the 2020 season. It just makes sense to have a talented backup option behind Tua, who was a former top 10 pick. And another reason why to keep Josh Rosen around is because of COVID-19. It could be a good idea to keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster if, hypothetically, your top 2 quarterbacks test positive for the coronavirus in the days before a game and they have to go into isolated quarantine for 14 days. Teams with an experienced and talented and skilled third quarterback would obviously benefit in this scenario, so having Josh Rosen around would be a great insurance policy in case that was to be the case, and God, touch wood, hopefully that's not going to happen, man. Could you imagine if half the team got coronavirus? That would just be devastating, and God, hopefully everyone can stay healthy. The virus is definitely a hotspot in South Florida. The reported cases in South Florida are pretty high at the moment, so hopefully things can settle down come, September or into October. Who knows when the season's going to start. But really, in my opinion, when it comes to this Josh Rosen situation, I think they should hang on to him. But if they get an offer that they can't refuse, like a third-round pick or something similar to that nature, they should definitely consider trading Rosen. But for the time being, we got 3 talented quarterbacks in the quarterback room, and the room is looking the best it's ever looked in a long time, man. We haven't had 3 talented guys like this for, God, a couple decades at the same position. So the room has never been stronger, and let's keep it strong with keeping Rosen around. Some other Dolphins news that's been floating around for the last day or so is the firing of former offensive coordinator Chad O'Shea, and just how that whole situation came about and how Coach Flo went about delivering the news to Coach O'Shea. So when Dolphins head coach Brian Flores fired Chad O'Shea the day after last season ended and replaced him with 68-year-old Chan Gailey out of retirement to run the team's offense, a lot of us were surprised, and I'm sure a lot of you were caught off guard, just like I was. I really thought that O'Shea did a pretty good job towards the end of the season. But according to the Miami Herald, multiple sources close to last year's team, including player feedback, have given a number of reasons why Flores opted for a change and why multiple players supported the move. One player described the situation on offense last season as a complete shit show, noting that O'Shea tried to teach an offense that was too complex for a young team and that teaching/instruction during film study was just a complete disaster. And that's something that I definitely saw in O'Shea in his 1 year with the Dolphins. He's kind of got like a robotic personality. He comes from a military background, and you can just tell he's kind of like just very robotic in the way he, communicates with people. He's definitely very intelligent, don't get me wrong, but man, he definitely had his shortcomings when it came to getting across, what he wanted to teach an offense and how he just generally relayed information to the team. One player said O'Shea tried to run plays that were used in New England's offense, which is really to be expected as O'Shea spent the last 10 seasons with the Patriots as wide receivers coach. The Patriots system is just really all he's known for the last decade, and when you've had the kind of success the Patriots have had the last 2 decades, you can't blame O'Shea for strictly using Patriots' offensive concepts in his offense. The Patriots' offense really is considered complex, but a player said O'Shea made the situation worse by trying to install especially complicated and advanced elements of the Patriots' offense that Tom Brady and defensive coordinator Josh McDaniels have used the last, over 10 years. Those plays and terminology might be second nature for a guy like Brady who's been in the system for an eternity, but would confuse young Dolphins who were learning the offense for the first time, and that's just common sense. How could you expect young players to operate a system that is fit for a veteran with the kind of experience that Tom Brady has, which is immense? It's over 2 decades. And apparently, O'Shea would go to Coach Flores and say a player did know the playbook, but some of the players felt OShea wasn't doing a good job teaching it and just presenting the information in a way that everyone could understand. But in Chad O'Shea's defense, the Dolphins did average 25.4 points per game in the second half of the season through games 9 to 16, which shows that OShea is definitely capable and just really made his firing surprising at the time because, like I said earlier on in the video, he definitely did a good job in the back half of the season, getting it done, calling plays. Also, the way in which Coach Flores went about firing OShea has come to light, and it was done in kind of a cutthroat way, but that's to be expected from Coach Flores. He's a no-nonsense individual that doesn't hesitate at all when it comes to making moves that he thinks will benefit the team in the long run and the future. OShea was in the middle of his meeting with Fitzpatrick on Monday, December 30th, the game after that huge win up in New England, defeating the Patriots on their home turf and just sending New England to the wildcard playoff. One of Flores' assistants interrupted and told OShea that Flores wanted to meet with OShea. OShea told Fitzpatrick to give him a minute, having no idea that Flores was about to fire him and relieve him of his duties. When OShea came back from that meeting with Flores, OShea told Fitzpatrick that he had indeed been fired, and Fitzpatrick reacted with surprise. Just like Fitz, OShea was blindsided by the news. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us Dolphins fans were definitely surprised. I myself actually thought that the team would be able to build on the success that the offense showed later on in the 2019 season. But, like I said, Coach Flo thought otherwise, and I just really trust his judgment. In my opinion, Coach has earned my trust after seeing the way he conducted himself last season. Coach Flores is the truth. Later on in the day, we learned that Chan Gailey was going to go on to replace Chad O'Shea. Now, whether Flores asked Fitzpatrick, who played 5 seasons for Gailey, about Gailey before the firing of O'Shea is unknown at this point, according to the Miami Herald. O'Shea's inability to install an offense that players fully understood and his inexperience in the job as a first-time coordinator calling plays led Fitzpatrick to take a more active role in running the offense, one player said. Fitzpatrick, with 15 years of NFL experience, had no major issues understanding the offense. Also, according to the Miami Herald, none of that above feedback came directly from Coach Flores, and while he was dissatisfied enough with the offense to fire O'Shea, it's unknown if he shared those same specific concerns about O'Shea, who was hired by the Cleveland Browns January 19 to be the wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator. God, I wonder how O'Shea is going to do in that room with gigantic personalities in OBJ and Jarvis Landry. We'll see how the robotic O'Shea does with those gigantic personalities. A source who also spoke to the Dolphins said Flores came to the conclusion that he needed a more experienced and game-tested offensive coordinator who would install an offense that would be easier for a young team to learn, install, and execute on the field. Luckily for the Dolphins, we had Fitzpatrick leading the offense in 2019. He's a 15-year vet that had no trouble at all grasping the offense and taking charge. Fitzpatrick currently is the only player on the Dolphins roster over the age of 30, so moving away from the complicated New England system on offense and installing a simpler system was understandable when Brian Flores brought in Chan Gailey. Gailey has not coached since he was the offensive coordinator of the Jets in 2015 and 2016. In his 14 years as an NFL play caller, Gailey has never had a top 5 offense. His teams had a top 10 offense in terms of yardage in 4 of his 14 years. 6 times his offense finished between 20th and 32nd in total offense, and 4 times ranked between 11th and 19th. But really, one of the biggest reasons why Gailey's offenses were statistically average, but honestly, one of the biggest reasons why Gailey's offenses were average had to do with the fact that he had mostly journeyman quarterbacks in 10 of his 14 seasons. That includes 5 seasons of Fitzpatrick, 2 with the Jets and 3 with the Bills, 1 season of Mike Tomczak, 1 with Cordell Stewart, 2 with Jay Fielder, and 1 with Tyler Thigpen. And in those 14 seasons, he had 4 with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 2 seasons apiece with John Elway and Troy Aikman, and finished 8th in offense in 2 of those 4 seasons. So when he had a talented quarterback, his offenses were able to rank top 10 in the league, so he definitely is capable of getting it done. But God, that was a long time ago. Aikman and Elway, that was probably sometime in the late 90s, so hopefully Gailey can bring that same kind of success to the Dolphins. So that's it for this video, guys. Just giving my thoughts on the whole Josh Rosen situation. The reports that have come out that the Dolphins have been fielding calls, but I'm sure they've been getting calls on Rosen for a long time now. Who knows how long the conversations have been going for. The Rosen situation is definitely something to keep an eye on because I think there's a 50-50 chance that we keep him and a chance that we trade him. So, yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Also, gave you guys some great nuggets and information from the Miami Herald, just how that whole Chad OShea firing went down and why OShea just wasn't the right man for the Dolphins moving forward. And hopefully it was a positive move for the team, and hopefully Gailey is the man for the job. But one thing is for certain, in Flores, we all trust. As always, don't forget to leave some feedback in the comments section. Always love hearing from you guys. Want to hear your thoughts on these two topics. Like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the content. And as always, it's fins up, baby. Cheers, guys. Hopefully we'll be getting some news soon on when the team can reconvene for mini camps and OTAs.